Attrition is a new system coming to Battlefield 5, and according to DICE it will bring a fresh challenge, forcing players to work together, creating a more strategic, deeper experience. Whether you believe that or not, attrition has definitely divided opinion, with several discussions revolving around the actual need for attrition in the first place. In this video I aim to give my opinion on the matter, and as always I'll be as honest as possible, explaining how I see it whilst bringing in the opinion of the community as well. Please leave your comments down below, and I look forward to reading through them and replying, getting a bit of a dialogue going. So starting off, a quick reminder of how attrition will impact your gaming session on Battlefield 5. As many of you will probably already know, DICE have announced some changes that will make their way to the next iteration of Battlefield 5. It is my understanding that each player will receive a medical pouch when spawning in that can be used to heal your soldier back to full HP, and then you can get another one from a resupply station. You'll also be able to acquire more ammunition from resupply stations than before and spawn in with an extra magazine compared to in the beta. This is already showing signs that DICE are ready to bend and alter what we thought was maybe a bit of a harsh system with the attrition. Positive moves in my opinion, as forcing players to camp around resupply stations is a terrible bit of game design. However, the issue is not completely fixed, and of course we haven't yet had the chance to test it out. I would like to also state that I'm completely on the fence with the idea of attrition. I love the idea of more team play in Battlefield, and I think that it is something that has been needed for quite a long time. However, I also realise that people won't suddenly start dropping ammo or healing friendly players. Introducing attrition is not going to rapidly alter team play or change the way people approach a game of Battlefield. It just won't happen, and certainly won't happen overnight. Instead, it'll just create an extra hurdle for the individual player to get around. For example, remembering to visit a resupply station before leaving the objective, or remembering to loot enemies after killing them. Both these things don't really improve team play, they just add an extra thing you have to do in your usual game of Battlefield. In a recent blog post on the Battlefield website, DICE have claimed that this will make the game more dynamic whilst encouraging you to think on your feet, assess risks and make choices in whatever situation you're in. I personally think that the description they gave can be used to describe any Battlefield game and doesn't actually define what attrition actually is or how it will actually impact the game. Being dynamic, encouraging you to think on your feet, assessing risks, these are things that you do in any FPS game, so applying those to attrition and saying that attrition will make that any better or cause you to do it in the first place isn't really fair, so I don't really think that statement holds much water. They also believe that situations will now be special after each encounter, as opposed to the older style of killing an enemy and then regaining health slowly when in cover or not being shot at. What will happen now is you will have a fight with an enemy player, possibly kill them, take a bit of damage, and then slowly, very slowly regen to a certain point and have to use your healing pouch, one of them, because you only get one, to get yourself back to full HP, or rely on a medic to help you out, or finally going to a resupply station to get some meds that way. I personally do not class that as special, I class that as annoying, frustrating, and pretty much pointless if the aim is to create a fun experience for the majority. If the aim is to create a game that I'm hoping Firestorm will be, that's the Battle Royale mode coming in Battlefield 5, then that would be pretty cool, in a similar way to how it is in PUBG. You have one fight, and if you take damage you have to take time out to heal. Make sure you have a good strong position, and if you don't, you get punished for it. In Battlefield, that's not the way the game plays. It's fast paced, you're supposed to be up and out and fighting players as much as possible. I think dialing it back a bit from what we had in BF1 and BF4 would be nice, and maybe giving more of a responsibility to the medics and the support players would also be great, but forcing you to sit behind cover and use medical supplies or possibly having to run to a resupply station to get them is not special. In my personal opinion, it's just frustrating. DICE also claim that attrition is a camping antidote. They state with the limited ammo for vehicles, namely tanks, and infantry players, namely recon players, you will not see campers on hills. Again, this is a very debatable subject. All throughout the alpha and the beta I saw many players camping on hills, or even more commonly camping by resupply stations. Both tanks and snipers did this. You saw all sorts of players camping around the resupply stations you had on objectives because they could get themselves an unlimited supply of ammo and health. You do not prevent tank campers by producing tank mechanics that are best suited to camping back from the action and farming kills. You do not prevent camping snipers by creating maps that lend themselves to flag engagements and essentially another sweet spot system, because everybody's wandering around on less than full HP, and if you've played the snipers in Battlefield 5, you'll often find yourself getting body shot kills because no one's really on full health if they're in a position where they've taken damage previously. Of course, your good recon players and your very good tank players won't camp all the time, they'll do what's most effective. In Battlefield 1 we did have a lot of camping snipers, so I'm surprised that DICE think that limiting ammo will change that. I don't think it will at all. I think it's really down to map design and being effective at that range, but there we go, that's just my opinion. One very interesting statement in the DICE blog talking about attrition was this. If you are new to Battlefield, you might not even notice the attrition system. Chances are you'll die before you run out of ammo. That sums up attrition perfectly in my opinion. For new players and those that don't really care about staying alive and putting together some sort of kill streak, attrition is fine and probably won't impact them. For those that actually try their best to get as many kills as possible, whether it's for their own gain or the team's, attrition looks to stifle that and punish you. Saying that it creates a higher skill ceiling is a pathetic way of saying it'll put you in a position where you either have to camp next to a resupply station or run with a squad that will constantly resupply you. Playing on your own or attempting to flank enemies whilst the rest of your team holds down a position, something that was very fun in previous Battlefield games and defined what made Battlefield great in some aspects, is going to disappear, and that really sucks. So now for my opinion on the ammo and the health. Firstly, my opinion on ammo. Are support players now more important than in previous Battlefield games? Well, no, not really. Most support players didn't hand out ammo in Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 or Battlefield 1, and those that didn't in those games probably won't do now either. Attrition doesn't really change that. As the support player, you'll drop ammo for yourself because you need it, but if you never cared about your teammates in the past, why would you care about them now? The ones that do drop ammo will definitely benefit from this because of course you get your points and you're helping out your team so they can help you out in return, but is that really anything different to what we've experienced in the past? Not really. My opinion of all this is that you are now more dependent on friendly players to resupply you, as you will 100% run out of ammo unless you are the type of person to sprint directly at the enemy and die straight away. Looting enemies is not really an option all the time, as most people I kill tend to be in a poor position and I don't want to jump out from behind my good position to go and loot them. The eventuality is that I'm going to sit on a resupply station and gain my ammo back that way, or team up with my usual squad and rely on them as I have done in previous Battlefield games, albeit it will be a less fun experience as I've had that aspect of versatility removed, forcing me to play a bit safer. What about my opinion on health? Does limiting a player's ability to heal make the medic class more powerful in Battlefield 5? Personally, I think it might do just a little bit because keeping yourself topped up on health is incredibly important, but that being said, in Battlefield 1 we always had medics in the squad, and I jumped back and played a bit of Battlefield 1 the other day, and in a squad of 5 players, 2 of us always had to run as medics because without it you couldn't stay on objectives for long enough and you often had squad wipes. We're often a squad that will finish at the top of the scoreboard. We try hard quite a lot. You've probably seen videos in the past of me doing this with my squad, and we've always got medics. Sometimes it's all of us running as medics, because that is how strong the medic class is in Battlefield 1. If anything, I think Battlefield 5 will be the same, although you will be more reliant on the medic class to keep you healed up and probably end up running the medic class yourself. It's taken me a while to get to this in the video, but the biggest fix for attrition in my opinion, if DICE plan to keep it, is to allow you to grab health and ammo from your teammates. God knows most players won't throw you the stuff, so you just need to let me do it myself and grab it from one of them. We had it in Hardline, it was a very good addition in Hardline. I'm very surprised it wasn't in BF1, and it definitely should make its way to BF5. The biggest issue is simply the players. It doesn't matter how hard DICE try, they will not be able to force medics to drop supplies or support players to drop ammunition. It just will not happen to the extent that they think it will. It is entirely possible that you've encountered a bit more squad play in BF5 so far, and maybe the odd person has dropped ammo or health, but for the most part, I would think that people have actually been getting their health and ammo from resupply stations. How does that improve team play exactly? It doesn't. In fact, it reduces it quite significantly as you no longer require a medic or support player to help you out, and instead you can just position yourself near an infinite resupply station that can be crafted by any class from what I can remember, and you can collect everything you need. I do have a solution for this. It's not one that DICE will use, and it's not one that they'll probably even think about, but it's a very unusual fix that maybe someone has seen in the past in a Battlefield game. Why don't we just have a normal mode for people who want to play traditional Battlefield with your normal health regen and the ammo maybe slightly tweaked from previous Battlefield games, but something fairly similar, and then have a hardcore mode that hasn't just been tagged on at the end like we had in Battlefield 1, where it wasn't a true hardcore mode, they just changed some sliders in the server settings. Let's have a proper hardcore mode with attrition. You've got 2 modes, people can play whichever one they want, and it will give DICE a good idea of whether people actually like attrition. And if the hardcore mode in BF5 is super successful and maybe 50%, 60% of people are playing it, then in the next game they could lead with attrition being a large part of the main build. So as I said at the start of this video, please leave your comments down below. I'm really interested to see what you have to say about attrition. I have a feeling it's one of those things that people will get used to fairly quickly in Battlefield 5, but I don't think it will add anything positive to the game at all. All the stuff we're seeing at the minute that is positive is not really down to attrition, it's down to the fact that DICE have removed a lot of grenades and changed the way the guns handle and the movement and things like that. It's not really down to the fact that you have less ammo or less health. Thanks for watching guys, a bit of a longer one today, and I'll catch you in the next video.